In what is a huge victory for the campaign, RFK will be on the ballot in the state of Michigan. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back again with a new video. Today, it is time to talk about the 2024 presidential election because everyone, we have a significant update out of the state of Michigan as RFK will officially be on the ballot in the key swing state. Yeah, it is official. This isn't a rumor. This isn't, he might be. No, he will officially be on the ballot in the state of Michigan, at least for now. Things could theoretically change, but as of now, it appears that he will be on the ballot. Now, before I continue with today's video, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Again, folks, all support is greatly appreciated, and yeah. Now, let us get into it because this is very significant, and there were many questions about would RFK even be on the ballot in most states, let alone the swing states. And as of now, this is one of the first key swing states that he has made the ballot for. So let's get into it. On the same day that more than a dozen members of his family endorsed Biden, RFK announced Thursday that he had secured a spot on the ballot in Michigan, one of the swing states likely to decide the election. The Natural Law Party, which has ballot access in Michigan, nominated Mr. Kennedy and his running mate, Nicole Shanahan, for president and vice president. A spokeswoman for the Michigan Secretary of State's office confirmed that this meant Mr. Kennedy would be on the ballot in November. Yeah, so he did not even have to worry about getting signatures. He didn't have to worry about any of that. All he needed was a party like the Natural Law Party, which, for those that don't know, this is a very fascinating party. There's definitely some bizarre aspects to it, but either way, they decided, you know what, let's nominate Mr. Kennedy and his running mate to be on our ticket for Michigan, because they, for whatever reason, have access to the ballot in the state. Now, there have been rumors for a couple months that the Libertarian Party might consider Kennedy on their ticket, but I highly doubt that. That still doesn't mean that these lesser-known parties like the Natural Law Party wouldn't pick Kennedy. They just did. And I've always wondered about that. If Kennedy couldn't get the signatures in, say, Michigan, in, say, Texas or wherever, would he try to get the nominations from these parties and therefore get on the ballot? And it appears that while that's not his main focus, like he's not putting everything in the kitchen sink at trying to get the Natural Law Party's endorsement, it still seems like he is trying to get on the ballot no matter how. No matter if it's signatures, no matter if it's forming a new party, it doesn't matter. Mr. Kennedy is seeking ballot access in all 50 states through a mixture of independent petitions and third-party nominations. In some states, he has filed to create his own party. At the same time, Democratic allies of Mr. Biden are working to challenge his access to the ballot. And this part here is why he probably went with getting the Natural Law Party's endorsement, or at least become their nominee in the state of Michigan, because of this last part. Democrats do not want Mr. Kennedy on the ticket, and we will get into that in a minute about why that's the case, but point is, Democrats are working double overtime to prevent someone like Kennedy being on the ballot in any state, let alone a state like Michigan. But that's why he went with the Natural Law Party, at least in this circumstance. Because they already got ballot access. So therefore, he doesn't have to worry about getting signatures. And that's the big problem he's going to have. Signature verification. Now, for whatever reason, getting on the ballot in most states is very difficult. Like, extremely. Because even if you get the signatures, which in many states the Kennedy campaign claims they've reached the signature requirement in like Utah and stuff, but either way, the problem is you have, say, Democrats in this circumstance working around the clock to make sure these signatures, no matter if they're valid, they're invalid, it doesn't matter, to make them not count. Which is a big problem with election law in America. The fact that it's so difficult to get on the ballot because you have parties like the Democrats, the Republicans, who have people, their entire job is just to challenge these signatures to get on the ballot. They're saying, nope, that signature is incorrect. It could be a signature from a legitimate person, but if it's slightly off, according to them, they go to some court and they say, these signatures are invalid. Therefore, say Mr. Kennedy cannot be on the ballot. And that's why he's trying to get on the ballot no matter how. No matter if it's starting a new party, no matter if it's, like in this case, becoming the nominee for an independent party. In a statement released by Mr. Kennedy's campaign, Doug Dern, the chairman of the Natural Law Party, called him the most qualified candidate in the modern-day history of America. AKA, you're the only one that's even relevant for this party, so that's why we picked you. We had no one else to choose. I mean, the Natural Law Party, they usually get like 2,000 votes. Yeah, that's it. Out of Michigan, it's like 2,000 or 3,000 votes, and that's it. They must have realized this is their best opportunity to gain any kind of traction. Because if RFK is their nominee, he's going to get, more than likely, the most votes the Natural Law Party has ever seen. And that's why they went with him. They wanted name recognition. They want to grow the party. So they went with Kennedy because he's going to get a decent chunk of the vote. Now, I do want to talk about how does this impact the election, because there are many questions, especially surrounding Michigan. This is the one state that the polling indicates is one of Trump's strongest states out of the Rust Belt. Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, the big three. Right now, according to RCP in the polling, which we're only in April, stuff can change, absolutely. Right now, this is his strongest state polling-wise, which is ironic because back in 2020, of the three states, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, this was the most friendly to Biden. He won it by just under 3 points. Yet in 2024, Trump's up by 3.5 points, which is absolutely crazy to think about because you would think, the best state in the Rust Belt outside of, Ohio and Iowa would be Wisconsin. No, it's Michigan. It is the state of Michigan. Now, there are many reasons for why this is the case, but the biggest reason is what's happening in Israel. That's a fact. When you have the most Muslim city in America, Dearborn, Michigan, because these voters are furious with what's happening in Israel, and they want a full-blown ceasefire. And Biden is not going to deliver that. That's the problem he's going to have in Michigan. Plus, you have a bunch of white progressives in Ann Arbor, but the point is, Michigan's the weakest state for Biden compared to Wisconsin and Pennsylvania because of the Muslim vote. And that's why Trump's up by 3.5 points. But oddly enough, when you include Kennedy and West and Stein, Trump's lead falls. Yeah, you heard that right. This is one of the rare circumstances of any polling of any state that has Trump doing worse with Stein, West, and Kennedy. Now, why is that? My best theory that I've come up with is Biden is doing so badly in a head-to-head matchup with Trump. I mean, he's only getting 44% of the vote. He's down by 3.5 points. That he physically cannot lose that many more Democrats. That's what I think's happening here. He's lost, at least, in this main matchup with Trump, he's lost about as many Democrats as he realistically could in the state. So these voters here, they are a bit more independent. They're going to be a bit more favorable towards Trump because Biden has already lost virtually all those independents. He's already lost a chunk of progressives, a chunk of the Muslim vote. That's why it's a bit less favorable for Trump when the independents are included. When they're not included, he's winning by slightly more. But you can also say, well, there's some undecideds. Trump does better than the polling says. You could argue that, which is true. But I do think that Biden is doing so badly in Michigan that already a bunch of those progressives, the Muslims, etc., they've already bailed on him. So when you include Kennedy, when you include Stein, the voters that they're winning, well, not Stein or West, obviously they're taking more Democrats away from Biden, but you get the point that the voters that are breaking for Kennedy in a state like Michigan, they're going to lean towards Trump because Biden physically cannot do any worse than he currently is. He's doing so bad in the state. I mean, 44% in a state that you got, what, 50.6% in? Well, Trump's already at 47.4, which is just slightly less than what he got back in 2020. But you could also argue that since Trump is doing so good in the state, there probably are some independents that don't like him, but they're voting for him because he's better than Biden. But they would 100% vote for someone like Kennedy because they just hate both Trump and Biden. That's another theory you could add to the list of theories for what's happening, with the polling. But either way, I do think Trump would win Michigan even with Kennedy on the ticket because you still don't know if Kennedy will get 9% of the vote. Will he? I don't know. I think that's a bit much. Even for someone like Kennedy, I just don't see him cracking almost 10%. And you still got undecideds. You still got a bunch of voters that might still break for Trump. But point is, even if Trump wins a state by 1 or 2, that is still a 5-point swing from 2020. And he's winning with Kennedy on the ballot and much more with him off the ballot. But we just got to see what happens. We got to see if Kennedy does fall. What does that mean Trump gains? Because if that's the case, Biden might have a big problem here. If these voters that Kennedy is winning, if they decide, screw it, Kennedy has no shot of winning, I'm not going to vote for the guy. If they lean towards Trump, Biden could lose the state by much more than any of the polls are showing. But we are only in April. Things could absolutely change. But it is fascinating to see. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy this video, smash the like button down below. Subscribe. Share with your friends. Hit that little bell. Follow the social media accounts in the description down below. And, of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.